Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and it looks like this situation in Iran is continuing to escalate. Now, I will totally give the president credit that we are not firing missiles yet. We have not taken lives yet, but here are the headlines, and then we're going to go over a couple news clips on these reports. He was ready, supposedly, cocked and loaded, to strike. And they told him that they were going to kill 150 people. Apparently at 7 p.m. on Thursday, he calls this off. So I just want to say, here are some of the things being reported. All right? Iranian officials said that Trump was trying to talk to the supreme leader. Tehran, I want to show you this. So they released video and pictures of this drone, still maintaining that it was not in international waters. And let me say it again. Even if it was, which it does not really appear to be, it was conducting surveillance on Iran. So all this talk of they didn't have the right to do this, it's all bait and switch. It doesn't matter. They goaded them into shooting this down, 100%. One, they wanted them to shoot this down to make it look like they were being aggressed against. By the way, they say they have indisputable proof. And we're going to play some of Trump's response. But really the way the media is spinning this is it's time to go to war. All right? No one's really questioning it. Chuck Schumer's talking about it could bumble us into war. I'll say this, at least he's just not outright calling for it. And we're going to go over a Tucker Carlson clip where he swings up. He swings up at the same neocons that got us into the Iraq and Afghanistan situation. And even at his one-time mentor, William Crystal. So, let's continue on this. So, those in favor, shocking, of a military response, everything's going to be lawful. Military response. Who is it? Mikey P, Mike Pompeo, Mr. Bilderberg, Mr. We lied, we cheated, we stealed. There were whole courses on it. I was the CIA director. Oh, really? Pompeo wants to militarily strike? Shocking. John Bolton, another one of these people. Disgusting. All right? And, of course, Gina Bloody Haspel, the CIA director now. Was there ever any doubt? Why do you think I've been saying those three names again and again and again? Video after video, day after day, week after week, month after month. Okay? So you'll find out, like the president said, whether or not he's for real. If he can please maintain some sort of sanity and stability, even though he's surrounded himself with swamp monsters, to not strike Iran militarily. All right, so let's go over this this clip from, I believe it's CBS this morning. They do decent stuff at times. At least they're not, again, outright calling for war with Iran. They really are reporting on the situation. So we'll stop and go as it goes.
President Trump approved military strikes against Iran overnight for shooting down an American drone, then suddenly decided not to do it. This morning, Iranian state TV broadcast what it claimed are the first remnants of the surveillance drone.
The U.S. says the aircraft, which has a wingspan bigger than a 737, was flying over international waters when it was shot down. Iran says it has, quote, indisputable evidence that the drone was actually in Iran's airspace.
And let's stop. No matter where it was, let's say it again, this thing goes up to 60,000 feet, all right? If they didn't want it shot down, it would not have been shot down. And why are they saying it's alleged to be the drone? Why would they show fake debris? The U.S. has already conceded they shot this down. That's what they want the public to know. We have this grainy video of the shoot down. And it's so odd how our media frames these things.
The president approved limited airstrikes yesterday, but they were called off, at least in part, because of concerns from U.S. allies. David Martin is at the Pentagon. David, what do we know about this planned attack and then calling it off?
Good morning. The president had signed off on a strike against Iranian air defenses, but then just 1 hour before it was scheduled to launch, it was called off.
All right, let's stop it there, because I want to read some of his tweets and what he actually said, okay? We were cocked and loaded to retaliate last night on 3 different sites. When I asked how many people would die, 150 people, sir, was the answer from a general. 10 minutes before the strike, I stopped it. Not a proportionate to shooting down an unmanned drone. Damn right. One life is not proportionate to shooting down an unmanned drone. He said, I am in no hurry. Our military is rebuilt, new, and ready to go. By far the best in the world. It was never not the best in the world. Forget about this rebuilt bullshit. The military-industrial complex only grew at an exponential rate after the September attacks. Do you understand? That's the facts. All right? A lot of it has been disguised by private military groups, and now it's the return of Blackwater, even though Blackwater's always been around. They were just XE Services and Academy, but now that brand can be rebuilt with our hero Eric Prince, another one of these Haspels, Pompeos, Boltons, the ones that like military conflict. Why? It's profitable. So I don't understand this rebuilt nonsense. It's not rebuilt. But yeah, again, I'm giving them credit. We have not, but I'm also saying this. Guys, look at me now. I truly believe that they're going to try to just keep ramping these type of things up through July, and it might not be until the beginning of August we see real military conflict or some kind, or possibly the end of July. But I really do believe, look, the Bohemian Grove is real. Well, get aside all the weird ritual stuff. Who cares about that right now? Real people, 3,000 plus power players, much of the military-industrial complex, many high-level politicians, lobbyists, you name it, they're going to be there. People that set policy, world leaders. And they might not be there for all 2+ weeks, but they might, have 3 days there, 4 days, a couple of really important meetings, set this up. So let's go back to this news clip. And again, they're almost disappointed that he called off this strike. People like Lindsey Graham, they're saying there needs to be a response. But, not 150 people dying, thank you. Not 10 people dying, thank you. Not one person dying, thank you, Mr. Trump.
It was a go, one official said, and then it wasn't. Another official said simply, cold feet. The stand down came 24 hours after this.
Cold feet.
An Iranian missile knocking an American drone out of the sky, sending it corkscrewing down into the ocean. The shootdown was celebrated on Iranian state television with a video purportedly showing the missile on its way to the target. But President Trump seemed inclined to write it off.
Let's stop. Celebrated. They celebrate. Look at the framed up. Can you imagine if an Iranian drone was off the coast of California in international waters? And it never happened. And then our military shot it down. What do you think we would be doing? We would be propagating more conflict. It would never happen. Yet we're supposed to just accept that, of course, U.S. interests are in the Strait of Hormuz, in the Gulf region, and that gives us the right to do anything we frickin' want. What is going on here? The double standards that are right in your face are overwhelming. So let's continue on this clip.
As just an accident.
I find it hard to believe it was intentional, if you want to know the truth. I think that it could have been somebody who was loose and stupid that did it.
That didn't sound right to CBS News analyst and retired Admiral Sandy Winnefeld.
I'd stop. So, again, I'm going to give Trump credit. During his time with Trudeau, when they were asking these questions, he said it could have been a mistake. He didn't think that it was at the top. Again, I think it was probably a general, but it wasn't someone who was loose and stupid. It was somebody who was like, hey, this drone is spying on us. We have every right to shoot it down. And those that got that drone into that airspace, that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted. So guys like this can be like, we need to respond.
I don't think it was a rogue attack. I think it was premeditated, and I do think it was a great mistake on Iran's part.
When asked about retaliatory strikes, the president was non-committal.
You'll find out. You'll find out.
And you know what else you're going to find out? You're going to find out who the real warmongers are in the mainstream media right about now. And you're going to find out a lot of those people in the alternative media, they're just going to go along with this administration, and they're going to be fucking warmongers too. So you'll find out. You'll find out who steps up to the plate and says, hey, this isn't about left or right. This isn't a leftist plot. This isn't a right-wing plot. This is the military-industrial complex and neocon establishment. The Anglo-American Israeli establishment that's wanted to dominate that Eurasian region forever. Forever. And this is it. This is that domino. Iran is the domino.
In an afternoon briefing, Democratic congressional leaders warned the president of the unintended consequences of even a limited strike.
The president may not intend to go to war here, but we're worried that he and the administration may bumble into a war.
You know, again, supposedly Trump met with Schumer, Pelosi, and others. And I hope that Schumer wasn't warmongering there. He was careful with his words. At least he isn't outright saying, let's go to war. But you notice they're not challenging the administration on it. You think that this would be the talking points, but no, we're going to talk about fake Russian collusion and obstruction of justice. That's how you attack the president. You don't attack him when he wants to literally put American lives on the line.
The U.S. military spent much of the day declassifying intelligence to show the $110 million surveillance drone had not violated Iranian airspace, as Iran's foreign minister claimed it had.
Let's stop. Again, a totally moot point, but you notice how also the needle's moving? First it was like $185, then $180 million drone. Now it's a $110 million drone. Listen, it's a drone that we built through a budget that's imagination land because it's in the trillions of dollars, and we just have all sorts of money for this all the time. We write checks out of nowhere. We have a system that is literally ones and zeros in most cases, that's backed by nothing. And the military-industrial complex will spend in order to get us into actual conflict in that region.
The U.S. called it an unprovoked attack, which raised the question, would the U.S. be seen as weak if it did not retaliate against an attack on one of its aircraft?
Administration is going to have to respond to this or lose a lot of credibility.
Oh, do they?
And standing in the region and around the rest of the world.
Republicans like Senator Lindsey Graham agree Iran cannot be allowed to attack a U.S. aircraft without paying a price. And Secretary of State Pompeo is expected to visit Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates to discuss what the U.S. should do next.
So there you go. Pompeo, Mr. Bilderberg, he's on his way over there after getting on a boat in Switzerland to meet little Jared Kushner. Good stuff, right? Where he spoke at a castle in front of elites just before more escalation in Iran. I'm sure he didn't mention anything like that to all those people. So now we're going to go to the most unlikely honest man in media at this point, and it's Tucker Carlson. Now, there was a news story, I didn't bring it up, but apparently the Daily Caller or it was either the Daily Caller or the Daily Beast. Somebody broke the story that he's been advising the president against war. Now, this is a short piece, but he nails it, and again, he swings up at his neocon mentor.
The U.S. has spent trillions of dollars and thousands of American lives trying to remake the Middle East in our image. It's sad to say it out loud, but we have to. It hasn't worked. Many of us thought it would, but it hasn't. By every measure, our foreign wars have ended in dismal failure for the United States, however noble their intentions, and some did have noble intentions. Donald Trump was one of the rare Republican politicians honest enough to admit this. He said it out loud 3 years ago and promised not to repeat the same mistakes if elected president.
And then he got elected president. And many of us are still upset that we're even in Afghanistan 2 years plus later. Okay? That we're in Iraq at this point. That we've expanded operations in AFRICOM. I'm upset about those things. That we continue to try to stay in Syria.
And partly because he said that, he was elected president. Now something fascinating is happening. The very people, in some cases literally the same people, who lured us into the Iraq quagmire 16 years ago, are demanding a new war, this one with Iran. The president, to his great credit, appears to be skeptical of this, very skeptical. Iran recently downed an unmanned American drone. The president, speaking today, seemed to suggest this shouldn't necessarily trigger a conflict with Iran. Watch.
Iran made a big mistake. This drone was in international waters. Clearly, we have it all documented. I would imagine it was a general or somebody that made a mistake in shooting that drone down. And fortunately, that drone was unarmed. It was not, there was no man in it, and it was over international waters, clearly over international waters, but we didn't have a man or woman in the drone. We had nobody in the drone.
So let's stop. It's perfect. Obviously, we had nobody in the drone, and I'm glad he's talking like that. And you notice the media did not hype that part up. Now, I know there are some people that think that this is all a negotiation tactic and he's playing tough. No, I'm telling you right now, those people behind him really want this, and he is in the dark about a lot of it. That limpet mine attack, we've picked that apart ad nauseum. What did that video and the subsequent photographs and all that stuff actually show? At best, it showed the Iranian Revolutionary Guard taking something off a boat, a possible limpet mine. They didn't show anybody planting an explosive. They didn't show the explosive going off. I promise you that region was being surveilled. They could obviously show us that stuff in much higher quality. It's 2019. We don't need 240p black and white video. I told you that could be a bait and switch, but it doesn't show anything. And I'm hoping that the president's smart enough and realizing that nobody died, and that's why he's making that point. So I give him that credit, and I give Tucker Carlson the credit to actually play this up in the media that's playing up a lot of other bad things and trying to promote war.
Would have made a big difference, let me tell you. Would have made a big, big difference. I find it hard to believe it was intentional, if you want to know the truth. I think that it could have been somebody who was loose and stupid that did it.
So that's not nearly bellicose enough for the permanent foreign policy establishment in Washington, many of whom crave a war with Iran and see every provocation as an opportunity to start one. Senator Lindsey Graham, for example, says Americans ought to be ready to fight and die for shipping lanes on the other side of the world. Watch.
So here's what to watch for. If the Iranians follow through on their threat to start enriching again at higher levels, to basically take their enrichment program to a kind of a nuclear level in terms of a weapons grade production, Israel's in a world of hurt. So the best thing the president can do is stop that. And how do you stop that? To make Iran understand you're not going to let that happen. I think he should put their oil refineries on a target list, that he should look at sinking the Iranian Navy if they attack.
Oh, sinking the Iranian Navy. And he's going to say, if they attack again. We don't know they've ever attacked. You haven't shown any evidence that the Iranian Navy is attacking anybody. Anybody, Mr. Graham. You lying, warmongering hack.
Attack shipping again.
So in Washington, there are no real consequences for being wrong, and as a result, policymakers are. They make the same mistakes again and again. And it's certainly not just Lindsey Graham. At the New York Times, left-wing warmonger Bret Stephens is also calling on America to sink the Iranian Navy. Many on the left are for it. And
you know why? Because it's not a left-right issue. It's a military-industrial complex issue. And at the top, and really not even the top, you can see it in the lobbyists. They buy both sides. They buy both sides. It's not a left or right. It's imagination land.
John Bolton cheers him on from within the White House. Bill Kristol nods with approval from outside the White House. None of these people will admit their actual intentions. They'll tell you they don't really want a war with Iran. That's a crock. They want a war badly. Badly enough to lie about it. That's why they're putting American troops into situations where conflict is inevitable in order to start a war. Everyone in Washington knows exactly what's happening. They've seen it many times before.
There it is. Thank you, Tucker. The only man telling the truth in the mainstream media. They want it bad. They want it bad. And you know what a threat Iran is? Let me show you what a threat Iran is. 2%. This is Charlie Skelton. He does amazing work for the last 10 years on Bilderberg, and he's hilarious. Follow him at Dayuk. Tell him Jason sent you. You can see why the U.S. is terrified of Iran. I mean, just look at the figures last year. Iran spent just 2% of what the U.S. did on their military. The U.S. is fighting for its life here. 2% of what the U.S. You see that? That's how big our military-industrial complex is. They don't want a war. I don't want a war. Guys, if you're new and you like this material and you like the truth and you like somebody who's not going to pull punches, please consider supporting me over at my GoFundMe. We're now over a fifth of the way there. I'm not going to bullshit you. This is the deal. I'm putting out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos some days. We're putting out 30 to 50 a week. They're on real issues that the mainstream media is not covering. It's left or right. Every dollar helps. If it's a cup of coffee, if it's $5, believe me, it's helping me get there, and it's helping me produce these things, because every day, all of my videos get demonetized. I have to do a manual review, and it's not like we're huge anyway, but I think an independent voice is a good thing. So if you can support me, great. If you're new and you haven't watched this stuff, please go over to my channel right now. Again, I'm pumping out material on Jimmy Savile, the Linda Collins Smith murder in Arkansas. If you don't know anything about that, it's really bizarre and should be followed up. Bear, Monsanto, Pompeo, the former Egyptian president dying in court. A lot of mainstream media didn't cover that. The Grove this year. I get great guests on, like Eric Jackman, the best Donald Trump impersonator in the world. Robbie Martin. Hopefully we're going to have him back. Richard Andrew Grove. I'm trying to get Corbett on, lock him in at a live stream moment. But these are issues that matter. So again, I thank you all. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new. And if you can help me out on the GoFundMe, it's in the description. And I love you guys. I'll see you on the flip.